It was a crisp spring morning, the kind where the lake sparkles like it's whispering secrets to the pines. I was on the porch of my grandfather's old cabin, coffee steaming in my mug, rocking in a chair that creaked with history. The air smelled of damp soil and promise, and I was soaking in the quiet until Lisa stormed down the gravel path, clipboard in hand, fury in her stride. She wasn't just walking, she was marching like she was about to conquer my porch in her neon pink tracksuit and oversized sunglasses. I'd never seen her before, but I knew her type, someone who'd write a complaint in all caps because the birds were too loud. She didn't bother with a hello. She climbed my steps, pointed at the cabin, and snapped, "This is on HOA land, and you're not authorized to be here." I froze, mug halfway to my lips, wondering if this was a prank. It wasn't. Lisa waved her clipboard like it was the Constitution, claiming the HOA had re-VYEU'd lakefront parcels and deemed my cabin their property. I set my coffee down, leaned against the railing, and said nothing. Silence is a trap for people like her. They'll talk themselves into a corner. She didn't like that I wasn't arguing. Her face tightened, and she pulled out her phone, thumbs smashing the screen like she was launching a nuke. "I'm calling the police," she said, dialing 911 with theatrical flair. I shrugged and sipped my coffee as she screamed into the phone about a squatter in an HOA cabin, GIVYing my address like she'd rehearsed it. She glared at me, hissing to the dispatcher that I was smirking like I owned the place. I nearly choked on my drink. She had no idea I didn't just own the cabin. I owned the entire northeastern shoreline, including the dirt under her designer sneakers. About 20 minutes later, a sheriff's SUV crunched up the drive. Deputy Carter stepped out, a guy I'd swapped fishing stories with on this very lake. He wasn't a friend, but he knew the area and the city folks who thought they could claim it like a board game. Lisa waved her clipboard at him, practically shouting, "Thank God you're here. This man's trespassing on HOA grounds and won't leave." Carter glanced at me, then at her, then at the cabin. "Ma'am," he said, calm as the lake, "how long's he been here?" Lisa faltered, like she hadn't expected questions. "Long enough to build that thing," she snapped. Carter's lips twitched. "Ma'am, this cabin's older than me." She blinked, thrown off, but demanded an investigation, citations, even while VYing a photo of a squirrel on my deck as suspicious active VY tie. I handed Carter a thick envelope, deeds, maps, a county letter pro, VYing I own the shoreline. He flipped through it, nodded, and handed it back. "Everything's in order," he said. Lisa's jaw dropped. "But the HOA maintains this area," she sputtered. Carter looked at her. "Maintaining ain't owning." She turned red, promising to escalate it with the board. I offered Carter coffee. He declined but chuckled as he left, saying, "Good luck with your board meeting." Lisa stood there, fuming, then stomped off, nearly tripping over a root. I sat back down, coffee in hand, watching the lake shimmer. The show was just getting started. The next morning, Carter called, half amused, half wary. Lisa had filed a complaint with the HOA and stormed the county clerk's office, demanding an investigation into unauthorized development. I thanked him and chopped wood, unfazed. By afternoon, her silver SUV rolled up again, this time with a guy in a pinstriped shirt who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Lisa marched up, pointing at the cabin. "One last chance to leave peacefully," she said. The guy handed me a letter, but I didn't take it. Instead, I asked if they'd checked with the county. Lisa smirked. "We have a case number." I went inside, grabbed a rolled-up map from 30 years ago, and handed it to the guy. His eyes widened as he unrolled it, tracing coordinates that showed my land stretching far beyond the cabin. Lisa rambled about community resources, but he wasn't listening. "This shows you own all of this," he said softly. I nodded. "And more." He rolled up the map, whispered, "There's been a mistake," and headed for the SUV. Lisa followed, shouting, but he didn't look back. She pointed at me, promising it wasn't over. I waved and smiled. 2 days later, a certified letter arrived, inviting me to an HOA board meeting to discuss land encroachment. I laughed. They were holding it in their clubhouse, built on land my grandfather let them use decades ago out of kindness. Saturday came, and I showed up in flannel and jeans, carrying a USB drive. Lisa sat at the table like a queen, surrounded by board members who looked more interested in coffee than conflict. She launched into a speech about community safety, showing blurry photos of my cabin with a red circle around the chimney, like it was a crime scene. When she finished, I plugged in my USB. Drone footage lit up the screen, sweeping over the lake, showing my cabin well outside HOA boundaries. I'd overlaid county GIS data, timestamps, and geotags. Lisa tried to interrupt, claiming it was fake, but I asked if she'd spoken to the county assessor. She didn't answer. The room went quiet. I handed the USB to an older board member and sat down. Someone muttered, "We need to table this." Lisa protested, but no one backed her. I left, humming, the lake breeze cool on my face. Lisa didn't quit. She sent frantic emails to the HOA, calling me a rogue squatter with forged deeds and drone propaganda. She even suggested I was running an illegal rental scheme. I drove to the county clerk's office to double-check my records. The clerk, a woman named Ellen, chuckled when she saw me. "Lisa was here this morning," she said. Slammed the door so hard I thought it'd break. Lisa had demanded Shoreline records, claiming the HOA took control years ago. Ellen handed me my documents and warned, "She won't stop. People like her just dig harder." Back at the cabin, I found a letter slipped under my door, accusing me of environmental violations. I laughed I'd paid for erosion barriers and planted grass myself. I took my maintenance receipts to Ellen, who filed them with my parcel record. Word spread. Neighbors called, one refusing to sign Lisa's petition to reclaim my land. Her grip was slipping. Then I caught her red-handed. I woke to chainsaws near my property line. Lisa had hired a crew to cut my trees and dig up my fence. She stood there in a sun hat, directing like a conductor. I filmed it all, capturing every fallen branch and her smug nods. When she saw me, she sneered, "We're cleaning up unauthorized growth." I smiled. "You've made this easy." I called Carter, brewed coffee, and waited. He arrived with another deputy, watched my VY and shook his head. She really thought she'd get away with this. They walked to the site. I heard Lisa shouting, then silence. 15 minutes later, she was led past my porch in cuffs, her hat gone, face twisted in disbelief. Carter nodded at me. I nodded back. The county issued a warning to the HOA for unauthorized land use, and I filed to block their access to my shoreline. Lisa's arrest spread like wildfire. Neighbors apologized, admitting they disliked her bullying. The HOA tried to call it a misunderstanding, but their credibility was shot. At their next meeting, they voted to re-VYEW Lisa's presidency. She was ousted, stormed out, and put her house up for sale. I hosted a county-sponsored event on my land, a Shoreline Awareness Day. Families, students, even a news crew came. Lisa watched from the clubhouse, alone. I spoke briefly about my grandfather, who built the cabin with his hands and believed in fairness. The crowd clapped, steady and sincere. The news aired it, showing my land and a sign, "Private property." County confirmed. Lisa's name wasn't mentioned, but everyone knew. The county re-VY said the jurisdiction map, stripping the HOA's oversight. Lisa moved to a condo across town. She sent me a letter. "I hope you're satisfied. Maybe you'll know what it's like to lose something." I filed it with my grandfather's will and kept going. I donated a strip of land for students to study, rented the cabin of veterans for quiet retreats, and sat by the lake each evening, watching the sun sink. The land didn't need to shout, it just needed to be seen. My grandfather's note, "Keep it peaceful," was tacked above the fireplace. I kept that promise, not with noise, but with truth. Now, what do you think? Was I too harsh, standing my ground while Lisa lost everything? Should I have compromised to avoid the drama? Or was protecting my land worth the fight? Drop a comment, hit that like button if you're team truth, and subscribe for more stories where entitlement gets a reality check. Let's hear your take. Would you have fought or walked away?